This week we've had snow, we've had rain, we've had sunshine. Welcome to diversity. Yeah, Western North Carolina, I know, you can't miss it. And there's a lot of diversity going on in the world today too. This afternoon it's Super Bowl Sunday. Who's having a party?
Party for two.
Party for two. I'm having a party for me, but every day's a party, what can I say? I understand Katy Perry and Lenny Kravitz are doing the halftime show, so you guys will have to let me know what I can steal for next Sunday, okay? Yeah, it's always fun, you know. This is my take on sports in general, and this is not from me. It's not an original. It's from Howard Hanger at Jubilee Church in Asheville. Howard says, satire is getting silly about the serious. Sport is exactly the opposite in my world. Yeah, so something that we take very seriously in this country and on this planet, but I don't know where, you know, that I would miss it if it was not here. Tomorrow is Groundhog Day. Did you know? I know, right? It is.
Cool.
Did you know that Groundhog Day was first recognized in the United States in the state of Pennsylvania in 1841? They have found remnants of a statement written on February 2nd of that year from Pennsylvania that basically say that if the groundhog peeked out of his den and saw his shadow, we would have another 6 weeks of winter. But if the weather was cloudy and he didn't see a shadow, spring was on its way. I don't know how they figured that out. I've always been a little mystified by that piece. But it's also actually an ancient tradition that I didn't realize until I looked this up. Groundhog Day goes all the way back to the time of Christ, when at Candlemas it is said that after the birth of the baby Jesus, Mary was taken to the temple. You know, women were considered unclean at certain times of their existence in that culture, and especially after childbirth. And so she was taken to the temple and purified. I don't know what that means. I'm afraid to look it up. And they also presented the baby Jesus. And that's, you know, Groundhog Day issues out of Candlemas. So it's a pretty powerful spiritual thing. So just know tomorrow, like any other day and every other day, is a holy day. And that there is no, there is no sunshine. There is no sunshine, so the groundhog, tells us that spring is coming. I was on Facebook this week and I saw a picture of a wolf, and he said, "I didn't like what the groundhog said, so I ate him." I'm like, "You can have him, honey, okay? If he tells us we're having 6 more weeks of what Scotland calls second winter. I've had enough with first winter, and it hasn't even been bad." So, I have a Groundhog Day joke. I know, you guys really need to help me with the joke thing, okay? Why was the groundhog depressed about his den? Because he was having a bad layer day. I know. Well, I'm telling you, and they're going to get worse until you help me out here. So, okay, that's a threat from the pulpit. Oh my God, are you scared? So, no, I know you're not. There was also another thing that was pretty amazing that happened this past Tuesday. It was the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. It was on January 27th of 1945 that soldiers of the Soviet First Ukrainian Front fought their way to the gates of Auschwitz. They found about 7,000 people still there, many of them very, very close to death. Some had already passed. 9 days prior, on the 18th of January, 60,000 people, inmates, had been marched out of Auschwitz. Those who were left were too ill. They were just physically unable. And one of the recounts I read online about this, what the person said was, it was as if skeletons were crawling out from underneath the bunks. It was literally as if skeletons. People were, and they came out and they said, "We're not Jewish, we're not Jewish, we're not Jewish." We're not. Because they were so terrified by what was going on. Yeah. Powerful. It's a powerful time. It's a powerful experience of life that we are living right now. I think about this. I did a memorial service for a lady a couple of weeks ago who, had she survived until March, would have been 100. My own mother, had she lived until last October, she died in 1998, would have been 100 years old. And I think about the things that have come to pass in that time. You know, I'm not old. I'm not even close. In fact, I'm not going there, okay? I'm just going to be young until I'm 90 and poof, I'm just going to evaporate or something or whatever, implode or eplode or oplode or something, okay? Off into the ozone. But, you know, I think about that. I remember us getting our very first black and white television set. My brothers were so thrilled. They were 15 and 17, or really they would have been older than that because they were 15 and 17 when I was born. I think about my mother's life. In her day, for much of her life, there was no such thing as an antibiotic. Her own mother died in the influenza epidemic of 1918, 1919. She left behind my mother, who was 4, and a baby sister who was 2 weeks old. She never recovered from childbirth. I guess she didn't get purified. I don't know. But, you know, think about that. Think about the advances, you know, in technology that we see all the time. It's really amazing. Think about the internet. Now, here is this thing that you can't put a finger on. I can't touch it, but I believe in it. And I really believe in the power of it. I mean, it's really amazing. If you have a phone, you can take it out right now if you want to. Okay? Oh, I got a text. Let's see. Mike, don't forget to tell him about the Facebook thing. That's what he did. So you can go on your phone. I have to have glasses to do this, okay? And you can do this if you want to. You can click on check in, and it'll come up. Mine comes up, search to find places. So I'm going to type in open door. Well, I'm going to try to type in open door. Open door center. That's not how you spell that thing. Okay. And it comes up. Open door center on Skyland Drive. And I'm going to say with lots of people, lots of friends. Wait a minute, that's not how you spell that. Lots of friends. You got to watch these things, okay? And hit post. And I just told a whole 747 people or some crud like that. I don't know what the number of friends I have now on Facebook is. It's not that many, but it's a lot. That where I am. Do you understand that if every one of us, that even the few that have a smartphone, I know not a lot of people might not have those here, but if you did that, that all those people out there, they might be in the next town, they might be in the next county, they might be in the next state, they might be on another planet, but they just found out where you were, and they're like, what is that Open Door Center for Spiritual Living thing? Help us grow this thing by telling people. When you come in that door, do your status thing, or your, you know, whatever it is they call that thing. Technology is absolutely amazing. So we'll put that back here and hope it doesn't ring or make any other noise. I think that's so funny. He sent me a text, remember to do that. So we did. Technology is amazing, and this world is amazing, and it has certainly been amazing for this little lady here. This is a Donnelly. At not quite 4 years of age, she had had 2 open heart surgeries. When she was born, there was a defect with her heart, a severe defect, that did not allow the blood to flow from the heart to the lungs. And so you can imagine what that would be like if your blood was all stopped up and your heart didn't function well. It really might mean that truly learning how to dress yourself would be past your body's capacity to do. So imagine what has happened to her in those 4 years, how her life and her development, her learning to use words, her playing like a normal little child, has just been, you know, decimated, basically. Okay? Technology to the rescue. Amazing things happen every day. Scientists and medical professionals took a technique called 3D printing, and they made a replication of a Donnellys heart. That is Dr. Redmond Burke in the second picture, and that is a 3D printing of her heart. Now what that gave them was a completely accurate model in their hand, not only of a Donnellys heart. This is after 2 open heart surgeries, and Dr. Burke was like, we can try this again, but I don't have a lot of hope. Really, this child was listening to a death sentence. And then this technology came along. These 3D printers aren't cheap. They cost like $250,000. But think about that, guys. Isn't it so worth it if it has the capacity to look at the inside of a human body part, determine what is not going on with it, and give us a model we can hold in our hands. And literally, with this, her team was able to look at this, to see exactly where the malformations in her heart were, to see where the scar tissue was, because if you've ever had major surgery, later down the road, scar tissue can be a problem, okay? The heart, the body just recovers, and sometimes the way it does that is an immediate fix, but down the line it tends to be a less positive thing for us. They were not only able to see that, but they could see exactly what the malformation looked like, how it affected the heart, where the blood vessels went, or should have gone, or didn't go. And the miracle of miracles is that then they were able to take a piece from the heart of a donor and fix her. She will have a normal life. Yeah. I know. How amazing is that? In the write-up, and this comes from the Miami Herald. You can, you can Snopes this booger if you want. It's true. I'm losing my page here. Sorry. I think that's it. Yeah. They said that as soon as they did this, as soon as they got her heart fully formed with the component from the donor heart, the blood immediately started pumping. As soon as they let go of it and had it back, in there and switched her blood supply back to where it was moving through the heart, it immediately started working right. Phenomenal. If she had been born in 2000, she would be dead. She was born in 2010. She is alive and will have a normal life. How does this 3D technology stuff work? Well, we've talked about things like 3D and 4D technology in here a little bit. But basically, with 3D technology, they take a virtual design of what they want to create, and they do that with a computer, CAD, computer-aided design, and that literally allows them to print this thing. A printer made that. Isn't that phenomenal? This is a 2D replication. If we had a picture of a Donnellys heart on this page, it would be a 2D replication. Go to the next slide, please, Tony. This is what happens when we go from 2D to 3D. We go from seeing a box, a square, to seeing that same square with all of the dimensions behind it. We go from 2D to 3D. We go from seeing just that which is at face value to that which is back of it. And we know in this teaching that no matter what it looks like on the surface, an ugly diagnosis, a situation of my pocketbook is empty, whatever it might be, we understand that back of everything there is a total lack of limitation, that the pure potentiality that is all of life, all of God, all of the divine, everything that can be, will be, has been, is going to be, all of it, should be, might be, never was, all of it, all that pure potentiality, all those choices, all those particular arrangements are what we are pulling from to create that 2D impression of what we have. So basically we see in 2D and see the height and the breadth, the height and the length, When we shift our thinking to 3D, we see the depth as well. So those doctors, rather than having a flat picture of her heart, which really wouldn't tell them anything, or something like an ultrasound that might show them pieces but wouldn't give them the exact, the absolutely microscopic exact dimensions of not only her heart but the deformity, what they needed to correct, what needed to happen to make that heart function perfectly. They literally could see the whole thing with 3D. We live in a really magical universe because we have control over how we see things. And if we are looking at our lives through the simple, flat, 2D picture, we can go, wait a minute, I know there's more. I know there's something back of. I know there's something that brought this 2D picture into the realm of my capacity to see it and perceive it. And that if I simply choose to claim what's behind it, that all-knowing, pure potentiality, I can bring forth something different. We do that in this teaching through prayer. Oh my God, that's absolutely phenomenal. We do it because we understand the simple mechanics, they aren't simple at all, of quantum science, okay? That when we stand firm in the knowing that something is a certain way, it will be. And I'm going to warn you right now, I want a snow day tomorrow. I had a conversation with the universe and I said, look, it's really selfish, but I need a day at home to play. So about 9 o'clock tonight, can you put a couple of inches of snow on the ground here in West North Carolina? Don't want anybody to get hurt. Don't want anything bad to happen to anybody.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. Well, I'm going to be in bed.
Home.
Oh, okay. Well, 1 a.m. We'll get money, come.
We're building this. We're making
That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay. Really, at work the other day, I work with some lovely people. Most of them are of the more mainstream Christian belief system, which is wonderful. I have no real issue with it. But this woman came in and she said, I'm really hoping for a snow day. And I'm like, I'll pray with you. I didn't tell her what happens when I pray, but stuff happens, okay? It's wonderful.
Wow.
We live in a truly magical universe. And we know this. Ernest Holmes told us this. Here's what he tells us. Life rolls forward into form from the consciousness that is back of it. What we know in teaching the science of mind philosophy is that what we are, our emotions, our mindset, our truth, that which we claim and hold and know, and get people to help us claim and hold and know, because I pray with you any day of the week, so will Carol, okay? We believe in this stuff. Our thoughts and our feelings, our beliefs, literally serve as ushers for the conditions that we see come forth in our lives. We understand that how we feel is absolutely tantamount to what's going on. You're going to see me out there with snow toys this afternoon. I'm going to go buy me a sled on the way home. And you know what, guys? This doesn't just come from Ernest. It comes from Scripture, from one teaching and another. In the traditional Christian Bible from Malachi, I will send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before you. Get ready for snow. Okay. And in Matthew, where Jesus tells the centurion, go, let it be done to you just as you believed that it would. Okay? Just as you believed. Have you ever known somebody that held on to so much fear? Oh, I'm afraid my spouse is going to die. I'm going to get cancer. I'm going to have this. La, 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 la. What do they create? Well, that mess they didn't want to see. Yeah. It's sad. Shake free of that stuff.
Yeah.
Shake free of that. Those teachings from the Bible might be old, but they are not irrelevant. From a new teacher, from Abraham, through the venue and vessel of Esther Hicks, whatever you're thinking about is literally like planning a future. When you are worrying, you are planning. When you are appreciating, you are planning. What are you planning? Now, you know what I'm planning, don't you? Yeah. When we shift our thinking from 2D, from seeing the simple black and white of it, to what is right here and right now, to bringing that 3D, the added dimension of other times, other spaces, other potentialities, we change it all. We change every doggone bit of it. I have shared with you before the beautiful, profound wisdom of Viktor Frankl. That thing that I mentioned earlier from Auschwitz, that stuff really touches me, and I don't know why. There are things that affect me, and they have the capacity to just bring my heart wide open. And that whole Auschwitz experience is like that. I don't know why. And it's very powerful. Viktor Frankl was an amazing person. He was a psychiatrist. He was a Swiss Freudian-trained psychiatrist who was captured. He was in Vienna. He was captured and was held in a concentration camp. I want to say he was there 6 or 7 years, but I didn't see that in this research piece. When he got out, he not only thrived, he thrived. He went on to create a thing called logotherapy to try to really help people, which is an interesting form of therapy. But, he did not allow this experience to crush his spirit. It was as if that divine something within him absolutely refused to die, no matter what. Here's a quote from Man's Search for Meaning. And before this year, 2015, is that we're going to do a little book study on that book, because there's just too much in it for us to not do that. Yeah. Here's what he says. We stumbled along in the darkness, over big stones, and through the dark. The guards kept shouting at us and driving us with the butts of their rifles. The man marching next to me leaned toward me and said, "If our wives could only see us now. I do hope they are better off in their camps and don't know what is happening with us." He lost his wife, his mother, his father, his entire family. He never knew from the day he went into the camp when he was separated from his wife whether she had survived or not. This comment, when his friend leaned over to him and said this caused Viktor's consciousness to shift to a deeper awareness of his wife. Now, when you read Man's Search for Meaning, what you find out is that he was deeply in love with this woman, deeply in love with her, and that it was her presence in his mind that so much helped carry him through the worst of this experience. Here's what he says. A thought transfixed me. For the first time in my life, I saw the truth as it is set into song by so many poets, proclaimed by the final wisdom of so many thinkers. The truth that love is the ultimate and highest goal to which any one of us can aspire. He shifted his thought. He took it from in the middle of the night, starving literally to death, being beaten and bludgeoned, being forced to engage in activity. He was a doctor. I'm sure that for a time they forced him to do some things that, no loving doctor would want to do. He pushed his consciousness from that 2D to that 3D place of recognition that somewhere, something, somehow, his wife, even if dead, her spirit was with him. That truth was present, and he knew it in his whole heart. And I believe it was that 3D thought, that 3D potentiality, not only of Viktor Frankl, but of all of those people imprisoned, that literally allowed us to close the door on that devastation of a people's so undeserving. Okay? No people deserves what was done to them in that situation. I believe it was that shift from 3D thinking that changed everything, that brought those Soviet soldiers to the gates, that helped them embody those who could not walk, who could not talk, who were barely still alive. That was not 70 years ago. Some of those people are still alive. So when you go home today and your prayer work, God, send them some love. Wow. Imagine the magical experience of prisoner 74233, identity unknown, who wrote this about that very experience. This person said, it was about 5 p.m. Suddenly I saw silhouettes in a white and gray uniform walking on a road near the camp. You know, I probably thought he was hallucinating, whatever the person was. First we thought maybe they were camp inmates who were returning. Then I ran out to see who the people were. We were so happy to see that it was Soviet reconnaissance units. There was no end to the hugging and the kissing. Wow. They held on to that spark. They held on to that 3D reality. This flat, I know I'm on it. This flat shit, it ain't real. Okay? There's always more. Don't let it go. Don't ever give up. There's always more. It's a magical, wonderful universe. Just remember that.